back again. You know, I know I've said this multiple times, but because I do this all day, every day, my days do run in together. So I had to sit down and think, what day is it? It's Monday. Happy Monday evening. It is Monday, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Monday. So welcome to the show, everybody. And I already know. The title of the video is going to have people talking. Oh, here he is again, going on Blue News. West Virginia to the ACC. Now, I'm not predicting West Virginia to the ACC in this video. That's not what this one's about. What this one's about is, well, there's starting to be some sources come out that says the ACC was interested in West Virginia. Real talks. The first one that I saw today was Heartland, and they had multiple ACC sources telling them the same thing. And so here's the thing. Whenever it comes to all that, all right. So, and it's the same timing that was told to me whenever I started talking about it. So the biggest mistake whenever I started talking about West Virginia to the ACC was I gave a time. I gave a specific time frame. That was a mistake. I shouldn't have done that because that was not confirmed. What was confirmed is the ACC was interested in West Virginia. And so I haven't gotten to the point, I haven't figured out what happened. All I know as of right now is that whenever Oklahoma and Texas announced that they were going to the SEC, and the SEC said, yes, this is true, that's when I started hearing, hey, the ACC is interested in West Virginia. And that's what happened. It was almost, I don't want to say panic, but they felt like they needed to do something. So as far as what happened, what side fell through? Was it the ACC that fell through? Was it West Virginia that fell through? I'm not sure. But rest assured, I will do a video on that tomorrow and get to the bottom as why it didn't happen. Because here are the facts right now. It didn't happen. We all know that. It didn't happen. Second fact is West Virginia has signed, to the best of my knowledge, West Virginia has signed the grant of rights to the Big 12. So they won't be available until 2031. So those are facts. That's what we know. So there's still some things to figure out because I want to get to the bottom of this. I want to figure out what side, said, nah, I'm not sure about that. Did the ACC kind of back off of it? Did West Virginia tell the ACC no? I don't know. That's the part that I don't know, but we will figure it out. I promise you that. So whenever I started seeing this stuff today, it kind of got me excited. I was like, the people that I was talking to, I really trusted them because, they were on the inside of this. I was very disappointed that it didn't happen. And the biggest pushback that I get is, well, you're not thankful that you're in the Big 12. That has nothing to do with it. Of course, I am thankful that West Virginia is in the Big 12. And here's the thing. I don't think that the ACC is a better conference than the Big 12. That's not what this argument was about. This argument was where West Virginia fit in best and where West Virginia could play all the teams that we love to play. Where would that be? That would be the ACC. Now that that's not going to happen, maybe the ACC gets voted to dissolve. Maybe that was one of the things that could have kept the ACC going, and it didn't happen. And now they're on, wobbly legs. Not quite knocked out. They got the wobbly leg. Whenever you ever watch UFC, somebody gets hit really, really hard. They don't get knocked out, but you rubber legs. That's what the ACC is on right now. They're on rubber legs. So, and I've heard it from several sources. What I'm hearing is the ACC, they do have those 8 teams required to vote to dissolve the ACC. Now, if that happens, then, what I'm really wanting the ACC to do is to go out and get, number one, Pitt. Honestly, if they go out and get Pitt, that would be the happiest thing ever. If that's the only team that they got out of the ACC, I'm good. I'm fine with that. But it would be even better if they got, Pitt, Syracuse, I would really love to play Louisville again every year. We had some really, really good games with Louisville. Virginia Tech, of course. Boston College, I mean, yes and no. If Boston College got back to where they were back in the day, then I would be more on board with Boston College. But right now, they're not a very good brand. They're not a very good team. So okay with that, but it wouldn't get me super excited. Miami Hurricanes, yeah, I'd be excited about the Miami Hurricanes. So, I'm more on the fence of I like being in the Big 12. Now let's go get our rivals. Hopefully the ACC does have those 8 teams. They go to dissolve. The Big 12 goes out and gets those teams. And I think it's important for the Big 12 too, because they've strengthened themselves on the west side. Of course, they have the Southwest core, but they only have 3 teams on the east side. And the only additions for the Big 12 that helped West Virginia was Cincinnati. UCF doesn't help West Virginia. UCF is still a long way from West Virginia. It's about the same as Iowa State, our closest, competitor in the Big 12. My biggest thing is, as a West Virginia fan, I would like to go to away games again. I was able to go to the Backyard Brawl this year because it's in Pittsburgh. That's within driving distance. You had those other teams besides Syracuse, driving distance. Even Miami is doable, and that's only once a year if we play them every year. As of right now, this is like every away game. Iowa State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Texas, Texas Tech, Baylor, TCU, all of it. They're way, way out there. So, our fan base wants to be able to travel to more away games, not just the privileged ones. And I'm actually surprised at how much support we can get out to those away games because they're really, really far. So shout out to the West Virginia fan base. You guys really travel, even though it's literally halfway across the country. So I talked to my brother today. You might notice that the camera is a little bit wider as far as the angle, and it's a little bit farther away. It's because I'm having to run this over my phone. My laptop, for whatever reason, the charging port got loose and cockeyed, and I couldn't get the charger in, and it died. So I don't know how to fix that, but my brother is a big-time tech whiz, so he's fixing that. So that'll be back on mine. So we are running through my phone tonight. So if something looks a little bit different, that is why. Let me get some of this stuff off the screen real quick. I don't know if y'all noticed. Well, if you watched the videos that I put out today, then obviously you did notice. But some of you may have not watched some of the videos that I put out today. You already know about our Patreon page, right? You already know about that. Well, this month we are running a bowl prediction contest. And instead, usually we have the score prediction contest, and it's a every week type of thing, $20 winner for the person that correctly guesses the winner and is the closest to the I'm getting messages right now and just lost my train of thought. Hold on, let me check this update real quick. It's kind of important. Yeah, we're getting breaking news that what my suspicions about Colorado are looking like they're going to be true, because I just literally, while I was doing the live show, I just got some updates. What I'm seeing is that Colorado is saying it looks like there's going to be even more changes, and bringing in primetime was a part of it. And what I say in my videos, that bringing in primetime, aka Coach Deion Sanders, is a way for them to increase their stock. And 5 seconds ago, I just got an update, and it looks like Colorado is saying that they're going to be heading towards the Big 12. I'm gonna be able to look into that more after the live show. I'm getting these updates as I'm live, so I can't get super in depth. But it makes sense. I mean, think about it. So, number one, who thought that Deion Sanders would even consider Colorado? Not me. No, I said Georgia Tech made sense. Florida State, if Mike Norvell didn't work out. Auburn made sense. Ole Miss, if Lane Kiffin didn't work out. And Texas A&M, if they finally get the guts and eat all that money and fire Jimbo Fisher. You talk about a terrible decision, guys. And I warn Texas A&M fans, This is a bad hire. This is not, and everybody threw all their eggs in the basket of that one national championship that they won. I think it was 2013. That was the basket that everybody threw their eggs in. Oh no, he's a good coach. Won a national championship for Florida State. I'm like, do you not see how he left Florida State? Yes, he did win a national championship, but when he left in Florida State, that was the worst that program had been in since before Bobby Bowden. We're talking like 30 years. 30 years. I say he's going to do the same thing to you. They didn't listen. Threw a ton of money for Jimbo. And, of course, 2020 happened. Told you, Golden Blue Dude, we were one ranking away from getting into the playoffs. Yeah, but it was a super shortened season, and you still didn't get in. And now look where you're at. Not even making a bowl. Texas A&M is just as bad, if not as bad, as West Virginia. Think about that, people. The level, the talent gap between Texas A&M and West Virginia is not measurable. It's not even measurable, and yet they're in the same exact boat as West Virginia. Yeah. But at the same time, they gave him this massive contract. So they're in a sticky situation. Do we keep faith in Jimbo? Hopefully next year is the year. We've got the #1 recruiting class, a lot of talent. Or is it time to cut ties? I say it's time to cut ties. I say the longer you keep Jimbo Fisher, the worse your program is going to get. And I know that sounds crazy because they recruit at an extremely elite level. So saying that and hearing myself say that doesn't make sense, but it is. Maybe it's his outdated offense. I don't know. Maybe it's focusing on defense too much. Maybe it's too much loyalty in some of his coordinators. We're seeing Dabo Swinney in the same situation over there at Clemson, and Clemson fans are not happy about it. They're coming out and saying, what happened to the old Dabo? The old Dabo, whenever a coordinator was not cutting the mustard, fire, go find a good one. Now it's promote within. And I get that Dabo promotes a family atmosphere, and I'm good with that. That's great. He's built a successful program at Clemson, but you can't get stuck in the friend zone when it comes to your faculty. You have to have the best guys available. The best guys available. And right now, if you look at his entire coaching staff, it's like, what is he doing? What are you doing, Dabo? Streeter? I know he was a good athlete back in the day, but he's not doing a good job at Clemson. Not at all. I will give Dabo credit in the ACC championship game. He saw that DJ Uiagalelei was struggling right out of the gates, and he made the switch to Klubnik, and they were off to the races. So I think DJ is going to enter the transfer portal. Where does he land? Does he turn into a Spencer Rattler type of story? I think Spencer Rattler still has some gas in the tank. I still think he has more he can do. He didn't do as good and didn't take as big of a step forward as much as I thought he would this year, but he did take a step forward. South Carolina finished strong. 2-game winning streak, beating a top 10 Tennessee and a top 10 Clemson. South Carolina finishes 8-4, and they're headed to an even better bowl game than last year. Shane Beamer is one heck of a coach, but could we be seeing the same thing with DJ Uiagalelei? I see a lot of similarities between Spencer Rattler as far as the way his career has started and Spencer Rattler. I think they're both talented, but maybe they just need to be put in the right system. I don't know. Joe, you still in the background, buddy? I wanted you to come on for a second. Joseph, you hear me? I would text him, but I'm using my phone. There he is. So, going back to how I started this video, all right, I have confirmation that the ACC was indeed interested in West Virginia. You've already seen the confirmation, correct?
Right. And so, by the way, sorry about that. I couldn't get my mouse to work, and then I couldn't get it to work to even unmute myself. So I'm here.
No, you're good. You're good. So as far as why it didn't happen, what are your suspicions? Because we know the facts are the ACC was interested in West Virginia, and there were talks going on. That happened. That really happened. So,
right. So,
what do you think happened? What do you think happened?
From what I understood, they were talking about bringing in West Virginia to the ACC, but then also they were talking about expanding and bringing in USC into the ACC. Yep. But then the USC, the ACC governors and board of directors knocked that down and said, we don't want to expand that far. So then they started looking back at West Virginia, and then suddenly USC and UCLA went to the Big Ten. So then they started looking again to maybe go across the country and merging with the Pac-12. So I think West Virginia probably just got tired of that and said, you know what, we're just going to stay where we are. You guys can't make up your mind what you want to do, and decided they wasn't going to be hung out on a limb.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened. I think you're on to something. I think you're on to the truth. I think you're on to exactly what happened. Before the show started, I told you I had a way to pull up the chat. Well, for whatever reason, the chat's still not pulling up, even when I hit chat. So, what are the people in the chat saying?
Well, let me look back through here and see. I will tell you this: Talkers Pitt put in that Keaton Slovis has entered the transfer portal.
That's actually surprising. Because he was the undisputed number one there, wasn't he?
Yeah, without a doubt. So I'll put this in. So Armchair Gamer says that. I'll let you read it.
It says Virginia Tech are definitely good pickings for the Big 12. Like, I know the Big Ten is looking at Virginia, but Virginia versus West Virginia, aka battle for the border, would be hype. I agree with that, but I think Virginia, especially, honestly, I think Virginia and Georgia Tech are locks for the Big Ten. I think those two are locks. Now, the other two spots could be Virginia Tech for that rivalry between Virginia Tech. I don't think they're going to pick up Pitt. I don't think Penn State would. I think Penn State would throw a holy fit over that. So that last spot, I'm not sure, but I'm confident in saying that Virginia and Georgia Tech would be locks to the Big Ten for this next realignment. Pitt got Phil Jurkovich from Boston College now that Slovis is gone. So so what Talkers Pitt is saying is Slovis entering the portal happened first, and then they went and got Jurkovich, or was it vice versa?
Yeah,
I'm just reading that. The way I'm reading that comment is Slovis entering the portal happened first. My question is, why did he enter the portal? Because he was the undisputed number one over there at Pitt. So that would be my biggest question.
Yeah, and you've seen that Goose Crowder entered the portal today, right?
Yes, I did. Yep. And you saw that Charles Woods landed at SMU.
Yeah. So have you taken a look at some of the things that the players that West Virginia is going after this year in the portal? The players to watch for?
I haven't gotten to that yet.
Okay, so I'll tell you a few of them because they've got some interesting ones here. Ollie Jennings, who left West Virginia, went to Old Dominion. He's now back in the transfer portal from Old Dominion and looking like he'll land at West Virginia again. And
I know who you're talking about, but the name is escaping my head. He just transferred last year too, didn't he?
Yeah, right, yeah. He's a wide receiver.
Yeah. Hold on. Keep going down the list. Let me think about that because I know who it is.
Okay. Well, this is a big one, and I don't know if we'll get to this guy or not, but this is a big one. former 5-star recruit from Oklahoma, Theo Weiss. He's a redshirt junior, so he still has 2 years of eligibility
That'd be a good pickup.
COVID. Wide receiver
Dude,
as well.
I'm blanking on that name. You're going to have to fill me in. It'll drive me crazy.
Yeah, so Allie Jennings, former Mountaineer, he was first team All-American in Sun Belt this year.
Jennings. I don't know how I forgot that name. Jennings. I know it.
But right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like we're going after 6 wide receivers, which is a spot we need, especially after losing Reese Smith today.
Yeah, that one surprised me, but what that tells me is, I don't know if I like that or not, because the message that's telling me is that Neil Brown is going to stick with JT to start the year, and he wants more receivers for JT. I like JT. I just don't think he's a good fit for West Virginia. That offense, it just didn't work for us. Now, maybe if our defense drastically improves, then we'll be like, whoa, that's the offense we need. But I don't trust the defense to get better like that. I like the offense that we ran under Garrett Green, because it gave us the best chance with what we had. It gave us the best chance of winning. Would you agree with my thought process as far as why we're going after so many receivers? That tells me that Neil wants to stick with JT at least to start the year next year.
That's a possibility. But then again, Garrett Green can throw the ball too. He's a good passer. And so is Nico. And we're going to need receivers for when Nico takes over. So
Nico would be the argument against JT. I don't think Garrett Green would be a good argument for that. I think he runs a completely different offense. I understand your argument. Don't get me wrong. But as far as targeting so many wide receivers, Nico could definitely be an argument, and I would be perfectly fine with that. In fact, the few series that we saw, he didn't have tremendous success, but if you saw his decision-making and his mechanics, they were right on point. He was just, you could tell that he had never started a college football game. That's what it was. I think once he gets a few steps under his belt, he'll be just fine.
Another wide receiver we're going after is Dre McCray, a sophomore from Austin Peay. He had 1,021 yards and 9 touchdowns on 76 receptions.
That's fine and dandy, but as long as he has either or great speed or great size, then I'm still a little shaky on that, because that bit me in the rear end from last year whenever we went out and got Jasir Cox and Marcus Floyd. They got hyped up because of their numbers, but it turns out they're just too small to compete, at the Power 5 level. Now, if they were surrounded by other bigger individuals, then they'd probably have a good season. But our defense as a whole was just too small. We were too small on defense this year.
Well, the thing about it is you won't be happy then, because out of 15 people that are in the transfer portal that we're going after, or that we're looking at, out of 15 of them, only one of them is a Power 5 player, and that's a player from Oklahoma. So we're going after a lot
like I said, it's not necessarily that they're not a Power 5 player. It's what's their size and what's their speed.
Right.
That's what would make me decide whether, that's probably going to be good, or I don't know, man. I don't know if that's going to translate to the Power 5. I got to look at his his size and his speed to actually determine that.
So we're going after Tyrese Chambers, wide receiver from FIU, Jimmy Horn Jr., wide receiver from South Florida, Grant DeBose, wide receiver from Charlotte.
Those are Power 5, but they're not FCS, so they might actually have size.
Right. They're a group of 5, yeah.
Right.
Then we've got one after a tight end, Kyle Morlock, a sophomore tight end from Shorter University. I've never even heard of Shorter University.
Never heard of it.
SHORTER.
Still never heard of it.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
Johnny Cornelius.
quick announcement to the chat. Before we went live, I checked our subscriber count, and we are only 15 subscribers away from 12,000. So if you stumbled onto this live show and you're not a subscriber to Golden Blue Dude, I'm telling you, every subscriber right now is getting us one step closer to that 12,000. Now, all subscribers matter, but when you get this close to a goal, let's get there tonight. I think we can do it tonight. What do you think, Joey?
Oh, I think we can. Yeah, we can get there tonight. Everybody invite a friend. Everybody's got that friend out there that, you know, is not a subscriber, that loves college football. Invite them to come over.
Right.
So,
Word of mouth still works these days.
we are targeting 4 defensive linemen. Shane Cokes out of Dartmouth, Brandon Fisk out of Western Michigan, Anthony Goodlow from Tulsa, and Andre Carter from Western Michigan.
There for a second, I thought you said we were targeting offensive linemen. I actually think that our O-line improved this year. I think there was a
We
few
only got one
issues that
offensive
they had,
lineman.
but compared to last year, I think they did much better. I mean, you look at our running game. I know a lot of people want to talk about, the diamond in the rough, C.J. Donaldson, and he was. But even, Jalen Anderson had a great game when he started the past couple games. Tony Mathis had – what does that tell you? That tells you that the offensive line worked on their run blocking and they improved. Now, C. Donaldson was the breakout star. Unfortunately, he got injured. But even Anderson and Mathis did really well behind that line.
Right. I thought our offensive line improved a whole lot this year. One defensive or a couple of defensive linemen going after Anthony Goodlow of Tulsa and Andre Carter of Western Michigan. They're a couple of horses. This Andre Carter, 68 total tackles and 7 sacks in 2022. So
that guy from Western Michigan that we're talking about, I've heard his name several times.
Brandon Fisk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can you hear me better now? I hooked my mic up. Did that help anything?
Yeah, we can. I mean, I can hear you fine the other way too, but that's cool.
Okay. I was just on the laptop mic.
Do you think DJ Uiagalelei could turn into a Spencer Rattler type of story? I mean, to me, it seems like he's having the same exact problems that Rattler started having, and he's in a big name program. Maybe there's too much pressure, and Rattler transferring to South Carolina. No, he wasn't amazing and just super awesome, but he was much better than what he was at Oklahoma. Maybe that's what DJ Uiagalelei needs to do as well.
Yeah, possibly for sure. So I'm looking at this list of targets for West Virginia, and the one thing I don't understand, because where we need help the most, and that's the back end. The back end of our defense is terrible.
And safety.
Okay, we're going after 2 cornerbacks, Kenny Solomon of Tulsa, who transferred to Tulsa from Tennessee in 21, and Montre Miller, cornerback from Kent State.
Okay.
So he had 52 tackles in 22, 2 interceptions, and 8 passes defended.
Are we targeting any linebackers?
No linebackers. That on this list, there's no linebackers we're targeting.
Now, of course, we still have a ton of time, but if we don't target any linebackers, then our defense is going to be trash again.
Right. And so, but that's the people that's the names to watch. That's who they're saying is the names to watch for West Virginia.
What about this excuse that I've been hearing that Shane Lyons was actually holding back Neil Brown, even though Neil Brown was his guy for whatever reason? Maybe it was funds, maybe it was support, I don't know. But I'm hearing ever since Shane Lyons was fired, I'm hearing that he was a major factor as far as holding Neil Brown down or, tripping him up or whatever. And from that interview that he did saying that he's holding grudges and said a bunch of derogatory things about West Virginia, they might be right about that. They might be onto something. What do you think about that?
I agree. I think, now
I
I'll
heard
tell
that he
you, if you
wanted
watch
Huggins
Wren,
gone. I heard that Shane Lyons wanted Bob Huggins gone.
yeah, um, I liked Wren Baker's press conference. Did you get to watch it? And his
No, I haven't seen it yet.
introductory press conference. It was
Yeah, I haven't
awesome.
seen
It
it.
was really good. And the thing, what got me was one thing he said was they asked him about Neil Brown and the football program, and he said this is the difference between him and Shane Lyons. When Shane Lyons was asked about Neil Brown and the football program, he said, "Yeah, there's no doubt we need improvement there." That was Shane Lyons. When they asked
Okay.
Wren Baker that, he said, I look forward to working with Neil Brown and finding out what he needs to help build the program and making sure he has the resources around him that he needs."
Right.
Shane Lyons never said that.
No, he did not. Well, come to find out, after his departure, he was actually trying to fund a project to where he would build a new press box with his freaking name on it, claiming that would be future revenue for West Virginia. No, what's future revenue for West Virginia is having success on the football field. That's future revenue for West Virginia.
Yep. That's what revenue is. You got to have success. But he said a few things in that press conference that were really good. But that was one thing that told me right there that, oh, there's a change of guard. There's a completely different atmosphere there right now with that statement right there. Because if you think back, Shane Lyons was asked 100 times about Neil Brown. He never one time said, "We're going to make sure he's got the resources he needs to have a successful program." It was
Well,
always,
I
"Yeah,
think
we
he
need
supported
improvement."
by saying Neil Brown's the guy and he would never fire him. That's one thing to say, but it's another thing to say, hey, we're going to make sure he has the resources and the funding. That's two separate arguments, and it's a massive
Well, now,
difference.
Gordon Gee said that when they was questioning Gordon Gee about this, about Neil Brown, he said, one thing that was important to me was bringing in an athletic director that understood that Neil Brown understood West Virginia culture, had a great thing going on here as far as the culture, and they needed to support Neil Brown, and we needed to make sure Neil Brown has everything he needs to have a successful football program. So I took it as Gordon Gee was throwing his support for Neil Brown in there, and that he was
Yeah.
not in favor of firing him at all.
Here's where I stand in this situation, okay? We know that Neil Brown will be the head coach for West Virginia in 2023. Whether we like it or not, he's going to be the head coach. So as a West Virginia fan, I'm going to support the team. I don't like the decision that Neil Brown is going to be there another year, but it is what it is. And now I'm hearing the Shane Lyons excuse. That's out the window. So there's no excuses. I hope Neil Brown proves me wrong. But last year, my prediction turned out to be an absolute joke, absolute ridiculous, stupid, I'm a moron type of thing, right? So I'm going to approach this season more cautiously. Maybe we can improve a little bit better and get to 6-6, 7-5. That's the ceiling of my expectations going into next year, because if you look at our scheduling, next year is actually our tough year in the Big 12. Now we have one less road game at a conference. Instead of going on the road to Pitt and on the road to Virginia Tech, we just have to go on the road to Penn State. We get Pitt at home, but our in-conference schedule bumps up to 5 road games. This year it was just 4 road games in the Big 12. Next year it's 5. That's how it rotates because there's 10 teams in the Big 12. So the schedule, man, I don't know, man. That it's a tough schedule. I actually think next year's schedule is tougher than this year's schedule.
Well, I heard somewhere today, and I don't remember where I heard it at, that West Virginia has been voted as the toughest schedule in the country this year. That when it's all said and done, they were the toughest schedule. So
I mean, you
I
add
agree
in
with that too.
the tougher year for the Big 12, and then on top of that, you get Pitt at home, but you have a road game against Penn State to start the year. I mean, that's a tough schedule.
Yeah.
Then of course road trips. We got road trips to Kansas State. We have road trips to TCU. We have road trips to Oklahoma, which I know they were down, but how long are they going to be down? And yeah, it's on the road. So I would agree with them. I mean, I guess it's lucky that we get Texas at home, but other than that, I mean, Oklahoma State, I don't think they're going to be any good next year. That's going to be a home game. Kansas might improve even better. That could turn into a tough road game.
One more time, everyone in here, we appreciate you being here. There's 97 of you in the chat. Please hit the like button. And if you're not a subscriber, please hit the subscribe button. We are almost to 12,000. We'd like to get there tonight. With your help, we can do it, guys.
15 away whenever we started this live show. I'm telling you, 15 away. I think we can be at 12,000 by the end of this show. End of this show, 12,000. Let's go. Right?
I think we can do it too. Let's see if we can do it, guys. Let's see if we can get us there.
That opinion that I gave, that looks like it could be true because, I mean, as we're doing this live show, I'm still getting multiple messages about Colorado to the Big 12. So that opinion that I gave about primetime, a.k.a. Deion Sanders going to Colorado, was that a play for Colorado to, make sure they're headed to the Big 12? Because remember, whenever they were talking about in the regular season, what was the one team that everybody was like, I like the other choices, but that one team I'm not sure about? Who was that one team?
Yeah.
Colorado. It's Colorado.
I'm sorry. I had my mic muted. I'm sorry.
The reason it was Colorado because they had a good year. What was it? Was it the COVID year where they had a good year? But it was one good year and a bunch of bad years. And then this year, not only were they bad, I've tried to preach how bad they are, but I don't know if people fully grasp it. We're talking historically bad. So, yes, they were 1-11. That's a bad record. But, sometimes like the 3-9 Nebraska from last year, right? Oh, man, they lost all of their games by one possession except for one game. 9-point loss, I think it was to Ohio State. That's one thing, but it's a completely different situation if you're a 1-11 team and you're losing all your games by 20 or more points. I think there was one game where they didn't lose by 20 or more points, and it was against Arizona State where they lost by 2 touchdowns, but Arizona State was trash. We all knew that Arizona State was going to take a massive step backwards this year, right? So Colorado was historically bad. We're talking averaging 15 points per game. As 127th out of 131 teams. And they were allowing 44.5 points per game. That's dead last. 131st, last. Nobody was worse. So the point differential was negative 29.1 points per game. That was all dead last. And if you watched a Colorado game this year, which they weren't on TV much, but there was a few on TV, if you watched, and it only takes one watch, I believe they were on. The one that I watched was TCU in Colorado. That's the one that I watched. You watched them playing on the team this year, and the size difference and the speed difference is almost embarrassing. You almost felt bad for them. That's why I said in the video that I made earlier today that I don't think Colorado had any business even fielding a team this year. They were literally throwing kids out there to the wolves. That's how undermanned and undersized they were out there. Like, it made you feel bad for the players that had to go out there because the size and the speed difference was – I've never seen a difference like that before. They haven't. It was shocking. So, yes,
a good example of how bad Colorado was.
They did need to make a good hire. But going after Deion Sanders, number one, I didn't see Colorado doing that because it doesn't seem like he would fit that culture. And number two, I didn't see Deion Sanders choosing Colorado. So that's why whenever the announcement came out, that's why the whole opinion of, maybe this was a play for the Big 12 started popping in my head because I don't want this to come out negative because I think Deion Sanders is a good coach. I think he's already proven himself. But he does have an ego. So I think a good angle as far as for Colorado to bring Deion Sanders to Boulder would be, hey, we need somebody to save this program. Hey, we know that the Big 12 is interested in us, but they're not confident in us. We need that extra step. If you come to Colorado, not only are you going to get more pay and you're going to have the keys to the castle, but man, you could literally be the savior of this football program and get us turned around faster than anybody else. Like I think there was a lot of ego stroking involved. Does that make sense, Joseph?
Yes, it does. It does. And to give you an example of just how bad Colorado was, this is what I think. I think you could take any Kansas team in the last 10 years and put them against this Colorado team this year, and it would look like they were playing. It would look like Colorado was playing Alabama. Seriously,
Yep,
that's how bad this
exactly.
Colorado team was.
That's a good example because I mean, that's basically what I said earlier. Whenever you watch the games, it looked like a high school team versus an NFL team. It was bad. I felt bad for those kids. It was hard to watch. That's why I said, there needed to be a mercy role involved because I was honestly afraid that some of these kids were going to get hurt because of the physicality difference was just off the charts. It was unbelievable. I don't think I've ever
I don't
seen
know what
anything like that.
happened in the Cal game.
Yeah, exactly. And I know Cal is bad, but even Cal gave Notre Dame some issues. They fought Notre Dame down to the end and had a chance to win that football game. I know Cal's not going to a bowl, and they only had like 3 or 4 wins. But as far as just the difference between a bad team and Colorado, that's the point that me and Joey are trying to make. The difference between a bad team, Cal, and Colorado is still massive. So the fact, and it did take overtime. It was a home game for Colorado, and it did take overtime. But still, the fact that they got a win this year is a miracle. I mean, they got absolutely humiliated by TCU. Air Force, they got blasted. They got crushed by Arizona. I know Arizona is a little bit better this year, but they're still not that good. And the closest loss that they had besides the win over Cal was Arizona State. And we all know that Arizona State was trash too, and they still beat Colorado by a couple touchdowns. So, but from what I'm hearing, he's already making some big time moves. I heard in the first 12 hours of the announcement of him being hired at Colorado, over 200 high caliber recruits and players in the transfer portal have reached out to Deion Sanders in Colorado. And for the 2025 class, which will be his first full class, he has already landed a top 20, not top 100, even better, top 20 recruit in a wide receiver. That's amazing.
Yeah. And his first meeting with the players, one of the first things he told them, Deion Sanders told them, was spit your gum out, put your cell phones away, and tie your shoes, sit back in your chair, set up, and pay attention. We're going to learn football. I mean, it kind of like he took an old school approach with them, like Bobby Bowden would do. It sounded like he was doing like his best Bobby Bowden coaching right there, just to tell them, here's what's going to happen. This is going to be my way or the highway, and that's going to work for him, I believe. Now, I think I had mentioned in comments today in your video that I felt like he's not proven himself at the Power 5 level yet. So right. I'm not throwing in and saying he's going to be one of the greatest of all time by any means. But he does have the ability to recruit good players. Can he coach them up? Can he coach a team to make the playoffs? That's yet to be seen.
Well, okay, so my thinking on that is I think he's most certainly capable because I think he went something like 27-5 while he was at Jackson State. Yes, that's FCS, but still you're competing against teams of similar talents and athleticism. So he's had when the playing field's even, he's had success. So even though he's taken a step up, and it's basically going to be even, except for the fact that he's already starting to recruit at a high level. So it might not actually be an even playing field. He might actually be up here and everybody else down here as far as the Pac-12 goes, going into the Big 12. So number one, recruiting outstanding. He gets an A+ on recruiting. I mean, flipped the number 1 overall recruit from Florida State to Jackson State. That is a miracle. That shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen. So he gets an A+ in my book. Coaching players up, I would give him an A- simply because I don't know, and the only reason it's not higher than an A- is I don't have enough to go on to give him anything higher than an A-. But his record, I think his winning percentage was 84.4%. That's worth at least an A-.
One thing I'm curious about. So now I've not seen any news about Colorado wanting to come to the Big 12 or anything like that. Just what you've said there. If that's
Well,
true, and we know the
now
reports.
it was speculation before this, just trying to put two and two together. But literally, as we've done this live show, I've been getting updates on that.
Okay, I haven't looked at any news, so I don't know. But let's just say, okay, let's say that's true, and Colorado's looking to come into the Big 12. From the news that broke today,
make sure you word it correctly. Coming back to the Big 12.
Right, coming back to the Big 12. From the news we've learned today about West Virginia, about ACC interest in West Virginia this past year, if West Virginia has signed that grant of rights, could they wonder if they could do a trade off and say, okay, just take Colorado, and in 2025 we'll even go to the ACC. They can replace us on the grant of rights.
No, I don't think that's going to happen. I think all these signs are pointing to the ACC being dissolved. That's where my thinking is. I think the ball was in their court and they dropped it. From what I saw today earlier with the confirmation as far as the ACC being interested in West Virginia, that was a real thing. They dragged their feet, and then West Virginia was like, you know what, you've done this 1,000 times. West Virginia seems to be the party that cut things off and said, no, we're going to stay in the Big 12. We're not going to be, this shoe that you're dragging behind you. And okay, well, all right, you talked us into it. No. So West Virginia just got sick of the ACC, acting like they were, going to bring them in, but still dragging their feet.
Yep.
And
that's exactly how I feel.
All the people that I've talked to, those 8 teams are out there, and Notre Dame might very well be one of those 8 teams to vote to dissolve. And how stupid was it for the ACC to give Notre Dame a nuke vote when they're not even a full-time member in football? How stupid is that?
Yeah. Well, the ACC done some stupid things. I mean,
I've heard all the arguments for Notre Dame, and I get it. They add brand recognition. Yes, I agree. They've added strength to the scheduling for the ACC. Yes, I agree. But that does not equal giving them a nuke vote. That should not have happened unless they are a full-time member in football, contributing to revenue, splitting the pie, the whole 9 yards. They should not have a vote to possibly dissolve the ACC. Whoever came up with that one, oh man, they did not think that one through. And I guarantee you, that was probably one of the bargaining tools for Notre Dame. And whenever the ACC accepted, Notre Dame was thinking, oh, we're gonna do this deal anyways. But man, I can't believe that worked. Can you believe that, guys? It actually worked. They're giving us a nuke vote. It's insane, man.
Well,
it's insane.
I guess there's a lot of things we could look at. We could say, okay, so we know now the ACC did have interest in WU. Maybe Shane Lyons held us out. Maybe that was part of his reason for being fired, but he decided no, I mean, it's going to be interesting because all this stuff will come out eventually. You know it will.
Well, remember whenever we talked, whenever all this was really hot and it was going on, and we talked about, who was it that had that interview that said, he was asked point blank, you think West Virginia will ever join the ACC? He said, stick it in your back pocket. Was that Gordon Gee or was that Jed Drenings?
That was Tony Caridi. That was Tony Caridi. He said, like a fine wine. Yeah, he said, like a fine wine. Just everything gets better in time.
Even high-profile personalities and officials within the West Virginia University, of course, they knew that West Virginia was talking to the ACC, and everybody was keeping it close to the vest. But they never denied it. They never said no because they knew the truth. But at the same time, they knew that the ACC was dragging their feet. And to your point, Shane Lyons might have been, the monkey wrench that got thrown into it. Who knows?
Well, if you remember, Shane Lyons was asked point blank that a couple of times, and his response was, "The ACC has not showed any interest in us."
And that is a lie.
That's a lie.
That's a lie.
We know that's a lie now.
See, that's honestly, oh, dude, video idea. video idea. Honestly, that's one of the reasons why everybody came after me and said I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about. Shane Lyons just said, not only is it not happening, but they were never interested. And I was racking my brain. I was like, why would he say that? Because I know that that's not true. But he's the athletic director. I had to go by his word. So I'm telling you, man, I'm going to do a video on that. I am not putting all this together. I am not happy with that guy. I am not happy. He caused a lot of grief over here at Golden Blue, man.
Yeah, he said if a lot of this stuff and a lot of these allegations about Shane Lyons are true, he set our program back 5-6 years at least.
Yep.
And that's bad.
And I'm not okay. Let me be perfectly clear. All right, I'm not saying that it would have been completely the right decision for West Virginia to join the ACC. All right, I'm not saying that because the ACC could fall apart. They could vote to dissolve. I'm not saying that I'm mad that we didn't join the ACC. That's what I'm saying. I'm mad that Shane Lyons lied and said that the ACC wasn't interested in us. We know that for sure is a lie. And you knew the sources that I was talking to. So me and you have talked about this a lot, and we can't figure out why he would say that the ACC wasn't interested in us when these guys that are on the inside were telling us, yes, the ACC is at the time. This was back in 2021 whenever Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC broke. Yes, the ACC is looking into West Virginia. We are interested. These are many conversations that me and Joey had because we couldn't figure it out. Why are these guys that are really close to the situation saying, yes, we're interested? Not necessarily that West Virginia will join, but that the ACC is interested. And Shane Lyons point blank says, no, we're not. That was the one thing that we could never figure out. John says, I would never say it was an inside job by Lyons, but man, the decisions I have heard and some of the things he said just makes you wonder. Exactly. You're exactly right. I mean, he tried. Oh, this one really makes me mad. He tried to say that Country Roads Trust, which is an NIL funded, not a West Virginia University funded, separate entity, could be in violation of Title IX. Could you believe he said that?
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I did not like that. I don't like any time an athletic director starts when he leaves the university and he goes to saying stuff about Title IX. That's bad news.
Serious.
I don't like that.
That's serious. That's quote.
And especially when you got to remember he's the president. He's the head of the NCAA ethics committee. So ethics. So if he says, "Hey, we need to investigate this," it's going to be investigated.
Well, think about this. Think about this. If what he was saying was true, then wouldn't he be compliant to it? Because
exactly.
He wasn't saying anything about it when he was the athletic director at West Virginia. So if what he was saying is true, I don't think it is, but would that make him an accomplice and compliant to it?
Yeah, exactly. It would.
John, thank you for the donation, buddy. Says, I mean, look at what happened to WU athletics as a whole. The decline is unreal. Not only was it unreal, and John Marzulli, thank you for the donation, buddy. Not only was it unreal, but it was significant. It wasn't just there, it was in your face there. Like, what? Honestly, the West Virginia fan base literally, what's going on? What is happening? Because it didn't make sense. And of course, as a West Virginia YouTuber, I have to hear, oh no, we expect Golden Blue to West Virginia just a mediocre university, and they're not really that good. You're expecting miracles. No, you don't know the history of West Virginia football. We were top 25 all time in winning percentage, and now we're like almost out of the top 30 just because of the last few years under Shane Lyons. I mean, that's how bad we've been. We slid in the percentage rankings. Before he came, we were in the top 25 all time in winning percentage, as far as college football goes. In fact, we were the all-time winningest college football program that didn't have a national championship. So yes, it was
I'm going to
there.
ask you a question.
It was in your face. It was apparent.
Just in your lifetime, if you had to rank the worst athletic directors at West Virginia University up to the best, how would you put them in order? Who was the worst that you think?
Say that again.
In your lifetime, the worst athletic directors at West Virginia and the best. Who was the worst in your mind?
Shane Lyons, dude. There's no in my lifetime, and I was born in '82, became a West Virginian in '88. It has to be Shane Lyons. The best would be Oliver Wren.
Okay. Well, I think Shane Lyons was a bad athletic director, no doubt, but he did do a lot of improvements to West Virginia University and things, as far as like our facilities, and raise money for that. So I'll give him that. But Alan Aaron has a comment here. I'll let you read it there.
All right. It says, I do know through someone that knew the old AD at W, Ed Passlong. Did I read that right? Yeah, Passlong, that the ACC asked W, and they said, no, we are very loyal to the Big East and will never leave the Big East. Big East? What year was that?
Ed Passlong was our athletic director before Oliver Luck.
What year was that?
That would have been 2000. See, Ed Passlong came along in 2000, up to 2010.
I heard that the difference maker for 2007 was not winning the national championship. I heard that if we won the national championship in 2007, we actually could be in the SEC.
Yeah.
If that's true, then oh man, that makes me sick to my stomach. I'll have to look into that.
We've had some bad runs of athletic directors, and that was the reason that Oliver Luck agreed to do it for a while, because I don't think he really wanted a job.
Yeah, he did a good job. He did a great job for not wanting to be in that position. He actually did pretty good.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's got a serious. And another thing too, in the interview today,
director that's gotten let go, that's badmouthed this, was Shane Lyons. I don't know any other athletic director that after they moved on from West Virginia said the stuff that he said about West Virginia. Like it just all adds up to narcissism, man. Said that he was bitter, that he thought they were friends. Okay, I understand you're mad, but here's the thing. You can't not fire somebody because you're friends. If you're not doing your job, it doesn't matter if you're friends. It doesn't matter that you stop being friends if they fire you. It just means you weren't doing the job. Like that whole script, that whole transcript that I saw in that interview by 247, I'm like, this dude is acting like a little baby.
Right. So Sam Bossig, so yeah, you're right, Sam. NIL and Title IX are not the same thing.
Right.
For those who need clarity, and Country Road Trust is NIL. Exactly.
Right.
But here's what Shane Lyons was saying, was that he felt like that it would be crossing in the Title IX area if he tried to help advertise and promote and make money for NIL. And I think there's ways around that to where an athletics director can do that and separate it from the university by just showing his support behind NIL. And he didn't seem to do that.
As long as the university isn't funding it itself, you're not crossing a line. Talking about it is perfectly fine. Promoting it is perfectly fine. Just don't fund it unless it's splitting it equal and compliant to Title IX. So either he had no idea what he was talking about, or he did know what he was talking about and knew he was lying. That's the only two choices. Either he was ignorant or he was lying and he knew he was lying. Those are the two choices.
So just for the record, what I was going to say earlier was, and we got a regular chat about it too. So Gee said today, Gordon Gee in his press conference, introducing Wren Baker, that Oliver Luck was part of this hiring process. He was in some of the interviews with these guys. So
I do have a question. Why, whenever Wren Baker left, was the head coach for North Texas, who went to the conference championship game, why was he fired? Why was the head coach for North Texas fired? You know anything about that?
I don't know. No, I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah, North Texas went to their conference championship, and a couple days after Wren Baker left, they fired him. And North Texas didn't give any reason whatsoever. So I thought that was a little I mean, I don't think it has anything to do with Wren Baker. I just think there's some, I don't know. That doesn't make it just didn't make any sense to me.
Right.
John says, let's see. Alan, is that Alan I can't hardly see that. Alan Olive. All good, man. Okay. They were good wins. We against WU and Michigan. I'm rooting for WU to get things right. Makes the brawl get more attention. Exactly. I'll be at the brawl next year for sure. I don't know if I told you this, or if you saw the video earlier, Joey, but I actually got tickets to the Myrtle Beach Ball via my brother-in-law. He's a huge Marshall fan. So I will actually be doing, this will be my first time going to a field that's not colored green. We will be at the teal field for the Myrtle Beach Bowl between Marshall and UConn. And on top of that, we will be on the TV side. And we're only about 3 rows back. So you might be seeing Gold and Blue Dude on TV on the regular for the Myrtle Beach Bowl.
Well, that'd be cool. Now, I will have to say this. The teal won't hurt your eyes as bad as like the red does, the red field.
Oh, that red makes no sense.
Oh, man, I can't stand that red field. But, yeah, that sounds good, man. You have fun there. So, Alan Ollie says
the gray field for, who is it? I think it's Eastern Michigan that has the gray field. That makes you look like, it makes you feel like not only are you watching black and white television, but I'm sure if you're like actually at the game, you feel like you're like living in a black and white television. I mean, have you seen that field? It's crazy.
Yeah. So we've got a special guest backstage like to join in with us here. We got Will and D.
What's up, guys? I'm still my mind is still blown about the whole Deion Sanders situation, man.
No, Colorado was not on my list for him. I thought he was going to stay in the southeastern United States, and I thought the farthest west he could possibly go would be Texas A&M. That's what made sense to me. So I was floored. I was knocked over.
I feel like he like gave the Pac-12 a raft here, like a life raft to stay alive, because no one really. I was worried about the health of the Pac-12 once USC and UCLA left. But if he can stay a while there, he can really get the eyes back on the Pac-12.
Well, I can buy that. I can. But I just have this strong feeling the reason he even went to Colorado was because of the Big 12 factor. I think if this were to save the Pac-12, I don't know if he would have taken the job, to be honest with you. So that's why I was inclined to say that. And then, like I said earlier, while I've been doing this live show, I've literally been getting messages and updates saying, that's looking like that's what's going to happen. And we heard in the regular season that the Big 12 was interested in Colorado, Utah, Arizona State. But, of course, the weakest link was Colorado. So, in my mind, what if the conversation went like this? Big 12's like, yeah, we want those teams. We need those teams. But, man, Colorado is giving us a headache right now. Their brand is terrible. If we bring in Colorado right now, they're going to make us look stupid. We don't need another Kansas, and Kansas had a good year, but most of the time, Kansas was, the very, very bad team and made the Big 12 look bad in football. So, the conversation is like, man, we don't need another team like that. So let's take a second look at this and take our time, make sure we make the right decision. And, that could prompt, maybe Colorado got wind of that. Oh, man, they're having second guesses about this because we're so bad. So not only do we need to fire a coach, not only do we need to hire a new coach, but we need to make a splash hire to make us immediately better. Mm-hmm. And that was my rationale as far as, thinking that could be possible. And the updates are pointing in that direction for sure.
What do you think of Scott Satterfield ditching his players and going straight to Cincinnati?
That whole story makes no sense. Number one, ditching so to answer my question was during the video, was he going to be coaching his last at Louisville in the ball game or his first game at Cincinnati? And they're playing each other. It looks like he'll actually be coaching his first game at Cincinnati. He ditched his players. He's at Cincinnati, and the first game he coaches is against his former team that he just ditched. And on top of that, what are you thinking, Cincinnati? He's not that good of a coach. Like, you guys have to and I posted it in a lot of Cincinnati Facebook groups, and this is not me trash talking Cincinnati or talking down. I just don't think it's a good hire. Coming out of Appalachian State, he looked like a good hire, but he's done nothing at Louisville. Nothing. I mean, maybe a smidge better by getting to a bowl, but that's about it.
Would you take him over Neil Brown?
I think they're about the same, dude. I really do. Like, they meander, they're down. Looks like they might be coming back, but then they really don't. And so the Cincinnati fans ask me, well, what other options are there? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You got Sean Clark from Appalachian State. You got Charles Huff from Marshall. You got a bunch of great coordinators out there, including the little brother of Lincoln Riley. Hello? I mean, there's a bunch of – I mean, there's probably 30 better options out there that are attainable for Cincinnati over Scott Satterfield. I just – whenever I saw that, I thought that Louisville might give him one more year, but he was on thin ice. So I was thinking, maybe they were going to fire him or whatever, but I haven't gotten any confirmation. What I do know is he asked for a raise at Louisville and they denied him. So this might be a Dana Hardison situation. That we might be looking at a Dana Hardison situation. And, ask Houston fans how that works out. Whenever a guy sets up a smoke screen to make himself look like a good coach, but we all know he's not a good coach. Ask for a raise, decline, and the other school obliges. Doesn't work out too well. I thought this was a terrible move by Cincinnati, and it bails out Louisville. Now they don't have to pay the buyout.
Now they. If I'm Louisville, I'm going right after Willie Fritz. If I'm Louisville.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think Louisville is almost like, whew. Thank you, Cincinnati. We appreciate that because I think at most they were willing to give him one more year just to see if he could improve on barely getting to a bowl this year in the ACC. We're not talking about a schedule in the SEC or the Big 10 or even the Big 12. We're talking about 7 and 5 in the ACC. And Louisville, I mean, they just had a Lamar Jackson Heisman Trophy winner not that long ago. He didn't impress me at all. And, an argument could be, well, he did good at a Group of 5 Appalachian State. So they're not going to be Group of 5 much longer. They're headed to the Big 12. So you have to look at what he's done in the Power 5, and the answer is not that good. Average at best. The hire makes no sense. I understand losing Luke Fickell is going to hurt, and you're not necessarily going to replace Luke Fickell with a Luke Fickell, but you can do better than Scott Satterfield, Cincinnati. Y'all are better than that. Come on.
Did Tom Herman reject them, man? Did Tom Herman reject them to go to Florida Atlantic? Like, I don't get it. Like, did Tom Herman want to go to FAU?
Yeah, I was. To be honest with you, I was very disheartened whenever I heard FAU hired Tom Herman. I'm like, I knew he was attainable. I knew it. FAU got him. So we could literally be looking at another Lane Kiffin type of road back to a big brand, and West Virginia maybe could have locked him down at least for a few years and get several good seasons out of him before he moves on to a bigger brand. But of course not. I don't understand the decision making at West Virginia. So hopefully what they're saying is correct, and Shane Lyons was holding Neil Brown back, and now that he's gone, we take a big step forward. But I'll believe it when I see it. That's where I'm at. He's our coach. Can't do nothing about it. I'll support him to the best of my ability, but my hopes are not high at all. Not at all.
This is kind of like what happened with Notre Dame and Charlie Weiss when Jack Swarbrick came to Notre Dame. Because, it was a good start for Charlie Weiss. 2 good seasons. 1 terrible, awful 3-9 season in 2007. And then 2008, they went 6-6, won a bowl game against Hawaii, which I'm like, okay, is that even winning a bowl game? And then Jack Swarbrick came in. He's like, all right, we'll give you one more shot, man. We'll give you one more shot. And it was a good start. People thought Notre Dame was going to do well in 2009. Crash and burn at the end. Finished 6-6. Charlie Weiss gone. Brian Kelly in. So I think that's what. Hopefully for you, that's what's going on in WVU. Just give them a chance, and then
That's what I'm hoping. So all right, Shane Lyons is gone. What I heard was he was the problem. All right, that excuse is out the window. Now you got to prove it. That's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Joey, I gotta go. We got school tomorrow
Okay.
and all that stuff. But I will say this: if you want to keep running after I'm gone, that's perfectly fine. But I myself, I have to run.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll stay on for a few more minutes, guys. Just for maybe 15 more minutes with you, and we'll keep talking to Will, and I'll post the StreamYard link if anybody else would like to come in and talk. So,
okay. Well,
yeah,
appreciate your support,
just for
buddy.
the last
Thanks for
15
coming
minutes.
on. I think you have to book me out, Joey.
Yeah, I will. I'll get you out of here. All right.
All right, and
We'll see you later.
don't forget the Patreon bowl prediction contest. During the regular season, we do a score prediction contest where the winner who picks the winner and closest to the score wins $20 every week. Well, for the bowl prediction contest, whoever gets the most right picks and we have a tiebreaker score is going to win $50. So if you want to be a part of that contest, join Patreon for the month of December and you will qualify. And you can start for as low as $2 a month. So pay $2, win $50. I don't know, man. That seems like a pretty good deal to me.
Yeah.
All right, Joe.
All right, go,
Later, man.
dude. We will see you
See you,
later
Will.
on,
See you,
man.
GBD.
All right, so Will, man, what's going on, buddy? So I posted a StreamYard link. If anybody wants to join in with us, you will have to turn your camera on backstage. Let me know you're a real person. Give me a thumbs up. Hello, howdy. When you come in, then you can, I'll take you back off. Okay. Thanks, Anthony, and we'll bring you in with us, buddy. All right, so we got Anthony coming in with us.
What's
Anthony,
up,
how's
man?
it going today?
Hey,
man.
how was your
Good.
guys' Thanksgiving, by the way?
It was nice. It was nice.
Hey,
I had a
Joey, I
really
have a
good one.
question.
Okay.
Let's say the ACC is able to break their brand rights. Let's say the Big 12, Virginia Tech, or not Virginia, West Virginia decides to stay in the Big 12 with your conference getting a little bit better. If Miami does, because the SEC or the Big 10, the SEC doesn't want apparently the SEC rather have North Carolina and Duke over Miami, which to me makes no sense whatsoever and stuff like that. And I don't think Miami wants to go all the way up to the Big 10. Would the Big 12 make the most sense for them if they leave the ACC?
Miami would want to go to the Big 10.
Yeah. I think so
No,
too.
but what I'm saying is I don't think Miami would want to go all the way up to north to play games all the way up north every season and stuff like that. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't think Miami wants to deal with that cold weather during November, December, and October. And I think they would rather stay in the South and maybe play in Texas, where you can only play, where you don't have to be dealing with that weather all the time. Only once with West Virginia, and West Virginia rarely gets that freezing, right, Joey?
Yeah, that's a good thought, but I just don't think. I think Miami would want to go to the Big 10. Their interest would align better with the Big 10, I believe. And
you don't think
so
their educational philosophy would fit better with the Big 12?
No, not
Because
at all.
they're not a big research school. That's the issue. Miami's not a big. We don't fund a lot of research in Miami, so that's
But
the
you have
issue.
AAU status.
We have AAU status, but their AAU is more in the research segment, and Miami doesn't really do that. Miami's not a big school for research and stuff. We do research, but it's more marine biology, and I don't think there's a lot of schools in the Big 10 that do marine biology and stuff like that.
I don't know of any conference, to be honest with you, that would turn Miami down if they wanted to come because it's such a big brand. I don't know of any conference. So Miami could probably just about go where they wanted to go.
I mean, Florida wouldn't want them in the SEC, but
can you explain? Wait, this is what I don't understand. they did it with Texas, where they didn't even tell Texas A&M till the last minute that they brought Texas into the conference. So why can't they do that with Florida?
Well,
I mean, they could do that.
Unless Florida
Well,
has that
Florida's
power
been-
that the SEC is scared they might
Yeah.
leave the conference. Does Florida
well,
have
not only
enough
that,
power?
they're going to have. They probably have more power than Texas A&M. They've been in the conference longer
Yeah.
than Texas A&M, so
Okay.
you know that they would have.
So-
they would build more power. I don't know how they got in without Texas A&M knowing. To be honest with you, but
No,
they did. So.
No, but apparently the rumors were that the other schools didn't tell Texas A&M till the last minute that they were voting Texas and Oklahoma, Texas specifically into the conference.
John
Joey,
Waffle, thanks for $1.99 super chat. He says Miami does not have AAU status.
I mean,
Miami
Miami's
does have
still a
AAU
good
status.
school. I mean, I don't think AAU status means that much because like schools want Notre Dame. Notre Dame doesn't have AAU status. I mean,
I'm
Miami's a good
thinking
school.
that I'm thinking that every school besides Louisville has AAU status in the ACC.
can
That
you
was my
explain
thought.
why besides the Florida factor, can you guys explain why a conference like the SEC would rather have Duke and North Carolina over Miami? Like, can you explain that, Joey? That makes no sense.
Probably
to me.
too. If you look at how they have expanded, right? So let's go back to their first expansion in the Big 12 and what they did. They brought in or what they lost. Okay, or the SEC. I'm sorry. What they brought in. They brought in Missouri over West Virginia, right? And the reason why was academics. Academics were a lot better at Missouri. They had A's, so they wanted to elevate the SEC a little bit, right? Then they bring in Texas and Oklahoma. Same thing. Good academics. Elevates the SEC conference. It looks like they're going to stay in that direction. So that's why they would probably take a North Carolina or Duke over a Miami.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my opinion.
Also, another reason why they might do that.
The issue with that is if you look at Miami's graduation rate, it's actually higher than Duke and North Carolina. Like
another reason they might do
graduation
that
rate.
is because that they want to gain new ground. Like they want to gain new SEC fans. Like in the Carolinas is like totally ACC territory right now. Like it's the most ACC place in the country. The Carolinas. Well, not all of South Carolina, North Carolina for sure. It's very
I have
ACC.
a question for you guys. Can let's say the ACC can't break it? Can the ACC go behind the Big 12's back and, like, let's say hypothetically talk to UCF or Cincinnati to come into the conference? Because to me they make more sense in the ACC than in the Big 12. Regional wise, I think Cincinnati and UCF would make more sense in the ACC than the Big 12. Do you agree, Joey, or you disagree a little bit?
I disagree, and there's reasons behind that. It's like, number one, this grant of rights has already come out for the Big 12. They're a part of that new grant of rights. If they've already signed the grant of rights, they couldn't just abandon it and get out. And that's the same reason West Virginia is probably not going to the ACC. Now, we found out today from Heartland Sports that the ACC has been interested in West Virginia all along. Just like we've been saying here on Golden Blue Juice, hey, they're talking and, they're working out, they're finalizing a deal. Come to find out, everything we were saying was right, because everything we was hearing, we were reporting. We were saying West Virginia's in talks with the ACC. That turned out to be true. Then we told you that it had derailed because of some moves by the Pac-12. Turned out to be true. They switched off West Virginia, went over to the Pac-12, started talking to USC. Then USC and UCLA go to the Big Ten, and ACC comes back to the table with West Virginia. I think at that point, West Virginia said, you know what, you can't make up your mind what you want to do. We're staying in the Big 12, and just decided that's it, we're staying. And so when you're talking about Cincy and UCF going to the ACC, they're going to be in the same situation. I mean, they weren't considered before, and Big 12 is the only one that actually considered them to join. They're happy to be coming into Big 12. I'm telling you right now, they're ecstatic. UCF has changed everything to Big 12 status. So, they're ecstatic about coming to Big 12. So I don't think there would be any
if Miami decide, let's say the grant of rights are dissolved and Miami hypothetically decides to go to the Big 12. How would that change the perception of the Big 12? Realistically, how would the perception of the Big 12 change by the media members if Miami decides to go to the Big 12 instead of the Big 10?
I don't know that the reception is bad in the Big 12 now. I mean, look at it. We've got some pretty good programs in the Big 12 still. Just because we lost Oklahoma and Texas, that's not everything. You still got West Virginia, who's the 15th winningest program in college football of all time. You still have West Virginia, who's played for national championships and been in national championship talks for several years over the last 30, 40 years. You have Oklahoma State, who's also, been in a lot of national championship talks. You have TCU going in the playoffs this year. You have Kansas State, who's right there in top 10 this year. We aren't losing a lot. We're losing.
What I'm asking is the big
we're
name.
Losing media value.
The reason why I'm saying that is because when you look at the Big 10, the Big 12 specifically, the reason why people don't take them as seriously is because they don't have big names like Oklahoma or Texas anymore. Like the blue blood brands like an Oklahoma or a Texas and stuff like that.
There's no blue bloods in the Big 12. There aren't any blue bloods in the Big 12. That's true. But let's go out to the Pac-12 and see how many blue bloods they got in the Pac-12 now after USC leads.
Stanford.
How many blue bloods are in the Pac-12? Stanford's not a blue blood. They're not a blue blood.
Oregon.
So Oregon's not a blue blood.
Would
USC's
you
the only blue blood.
Would you consider Washington?
No, they're not listed in the blue bloods. Blue bloods has already been established, and they can't no more be added to it.
Like that term confuses me. Can you guys clarify what, in terms of college football? Can you explain the term blue blood when they say a blue blood program? Because I've always assumed certain teams, because they've had a certain amount of history in the sport of football, are considered blue bloods. That's why I said Stanford, Oregon. Washington, and
okay.
Stanford.
Well, Oregon and Washington haven't always been good.
They're like new bloods. I call them new bloods.
They're new bloods. They've not always been good. You go back. So a blue blood's going to go back to the 20s, 30s, and 40s.
So like like Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame's a blue blood. USC's a blue blood. Texas, Oklahoma, those are all blue bloods. Alabama, Georgia, those are blue bloods.
Michigan,
Army,
Michigan,
Navy.
Ohio State. They've consistently won for the last 70, 80, 90 years. Those are blue bloods.
Army, Navy? Would you consider them blue bloods?
No.
Well, they haven't stayed winning, so I wouldn't say that.
No. So would you, with Miami, would you consider them a new blood or a blue blood? That's a question I would ask. Would you consider them a blue blood program or a new blood program?
I put them right there with Florida State, and just have to say they're new blood.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're a blue blood. I think they're new blood in a sense, but they're new old blood. I don't know how to say it.
Like I think blue blood, but I'm only 20. Like I'm only 21 years old. I haven't been around the whole.
Yeah. For me, I would consider.
Thing.
Yeah, for me, I would consider Miami and Florida State blue bloods because they've dominated since I've been alive. Like in terms of success on the field, they've done well in terms of championships and stuff like that. And Florida, I would consider.
Okay, how many When Miami joined the ACC in 2002, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many ACC
2003.
championships did they have?
2003.
2003.
No,
How many ACC
I'm not
championships did they
counting
have?
no, I'm talking about for me, I'm considering their dominance in the Big East. Not, I'm talking about the Big East
And when
dominance.
they left,
not
okay. And when they left, who dominated the Big East when Miami left?
West Virginia.
West Virginia. Yeah.
Who dominated West Virginia? And when Miami was in the Big East, it always came down to between West Virginia and Miami, just about every year. Would you agree?
Syracuse and Virginia Tech were good too, right?
Yeah, right. Syracuse and Virginia Tech were good at times. So the thing about it is, you can't say, well, Miami is a dominant team, and yeah, they won some national championships in the past. They've done really well, and that they've always dominated. They haven't always dominated. They've dominated since the 80s. Vinny Testaverde is probably about the first time I can remember Miami having a really dominant team.
Kelly as well.
23. Wait, the Ed Reed teams. Don't forget the Ed Reed teams with Jeremy Shockey in them.
So, but you're going back. You're going back in the 80s, right? And if you go back in the 80s with West Virginia, but then you're getting the Don Nehlen era, and you got the West Virginia with some really good teams too. I'm not saying that West Virginia and Miami are equal by any means. But Miami's a far better football program and a much better brand than West Virginia is. What I'm saying is if you're gonna designate a blue blood, though, you have to look at the whole body of work from years before even the 80s, years before even the 70s.
And when I look at West Virginia, I give credit to them because they have been more successful in terms of basketball with Bob Huggins. They've won more, like 2 or 3 more championships, like 3 national. With Bob Huggins, didn't they win like 2 or 3 championships, national championships?
We won the NIT. We won the NIT. We not won the big dance with Bob Huggins, but we did win the NIT. But West Virginia is a basketball school. You got to remember that. That's what everybody forgets. Everybody thinks West Virginia is a football school. It's actually a basketball school. We got a rich heritage in basketball, all the way back to the days of Jerry West and before. When you got Hot Rod Hundley and stuff.
Wait a minute. Did I hear that correctly? Jerry West went to West Virginia?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought he was a California kid. I thought he went to like UCLA or something like that.
No.
Oh, I learned something new every day. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we lost the national championship that year to was it UCLA that beat us? I think it was UCLA that beat us the national championship.
Yeah, no, and like I said, we look at this is the problem with this. Me and I forgot your name. I apologize. The one next to Joey.
What's up, man?
Yeah.
For the issue with me and you, the younger generation of college football fans, where we live in a microwave society when we determine success within the last 5 years or something like that. That's what we've seen Alabama dominating most of the time and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
The past 10 years. So we judge it by Alabama, not the other eras. Do you agree? That's what hurts us.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I try to do research on the old days, but it definitely does play a part.
Let me say this. Let me say this, Anthony, and I'm gonna get out of here because I have another show that I've got to go do. But I'm gonna say this. So West Virginia's always been really good at basketball. Under Bob Huggins, we have been in 2 Final Fours. Under Bob Huggins since he's been there. We've made the NCAA tournament every year except I think 2, and Sweet 16 about every year except maybe 1 that we were in the tournament. So yeah, we've had some really good basketball teams under Bob Huggins. But no, we only won an NIT national championship with Bob Huggins, and that was, oh my goodness.
So not the big game, not the regular NCAA tournament, the NIT. Okay.
No,
you guys made the Final Four when you beat John Wall's Kentucky, though. I remember that.
Right. Beat Kentucky and then lost to Gonzaga.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, well, Ben, let's end this show and get ready because we got another show coming up here at 10 o'clock, and I need to go get ready for that. Listen, anybody in the chat, we appreciate you sticking around and being here for us today. We appreciate all of y'all. Be sure and go over and join our Patreon page. Get in that score prediction contest. The more people we have, or not score prediction, well, that too, but the bracket challenge. The more people we have that are Patreon members, the more money we can give away in that bracket challenge. So get over and join Patreon for as little as $2 and win you some money. But we'll go ahead and give them your final word there and tell them where to find you at.
Yeah, just excited with all these coaching changes. Such a fun time to follow college football. College football, there's always something going on, even when there's not games. There's always recruiting, always coaching carousel, transfer portal. It's always a lot of fun. And you can find me over at Will ND, and I also do a show with some friends called the Young Guns. So you can find me there too.
Yeah, and it's a great show too. I love the Young Guns. All right, guys. Once again, we appreciate you being here. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. And you be here.
Mm-hmm.